good to see you. I am Christina. I'm so excited to be here to talk today about sound walls. So I am looking forward. I'm just making sure all of my tech is working here. If you're joining me in here, would you say hello so I can make sure my volume is working? We are live. So I am so happy and excited to talk today about one of my favorite things, all about sound walls. So I know in our Facebook group, in my inbox, I am getting so many messages and questions, and I love it because I love talking about literacy and the science of reading and sound walls. So if you are here live, hello, Denise is here. I'm so happy to be here. I think my sound is working because she said hello. So we're just waiting just a second to let everybody get logged in and ready because we're gonna have a good time. So like I said, we're talking about sound walls today. We're going to talk about three main things about sound walls. A lot of questions right now because our instruction, our shift is kind of changing, and it's changing for a good thing. If you are any groups or any training about the science of reading, you know that is a lot of research, decades of research. It's not just like the next thing to move us over in education. It is decades of research, but it's just surfacing. So it's really exciting because everything I'm learning is like best practices of things that is going to help our students to be successful. And that is what we want, right? So for about sound walls, the three main topics I want to talk about today. How are we going to set up our sound wall? Basically, this is the kind of the questions I'm getting. Okay, my administration told me I need a sound wall, or I read that I need a sound wall, or I got a sound wall. Now what do I do? Because sound walls are really a different thing. Let's just talk about a sound wall is really different than a word wall. So we're hearing a lot of people saying, I'm replacing my word wall with a sound wall. And that is awesome. It's amazing. I actually hated using a word wall in the classroom. And I didn't feel a lot of value out of it. So it's exciting to see the shift that's happening. We're going to talk exactly about that. But three things. Let's try to stay focused. Three things. We're going to talk about how we set up our sound wall. What do we teach? I'm getting that question a lot. Like, okay, I have my sound wall. What do I teach? And then I'm going to share with you some explicit lesson routines so that your sound wall becomes an instrumental piece in your instruction. We don't want it to be wallpaper. We want it to be a tool for learning for our students. So if that sounds good to you, thank you so much for being here. I am so happy. My husband, he's not really interested in this. He's not in education, so he doesn't really like talking about this kind of stuff with me. So if you don't already know me, my name is Christina, and I blog and share and create resources at Mrs. Winter's Bliss. I am not in the classroom. I haven't been in the classroom for a few years now, and I made a tough decision to stay home and be with my daughter, who's growing up way too fast. And so I spend most of my days when she's off at school researching, learning, listening to podcasts, talking with colleagues, talking with friends, and it lights me up to work with teachers. When I was in the classroom, I was a mentor teacher and in the leadership team and things like that. And so sharing and talking about education, if you can't tell, is what makes me most excited. So I am glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. And so we're going to get started. And if you are here, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat there. And I will come back around to them and answer them. I'm going to really focus on teaching, and then we'll do some questions. And if you're watching the replay, welcome. and drop your questions and I'll come back to them as well. So that's our agenda today. And I already told you why we are here, because our teacher friends are saying, I have a sound wall, now what do I do? So this is, I hope, super helpful, because I have done a lot of research. Like I said, I read, I study, I listen to podcasts, and I'm just going to say, I'm not an expert, but I'm learning. And every time I learn, I'm thinking in the lens of a classroom teacher. And I'm thinking of my 21 years as a first grade teacher experience. And I am adjusting as I learn. I've learned a little bit and then I change it a little bit. So we're going to talk about that as well, just like we do with our students. We give them feedback and then they grow and they learn. And so just the same as us. So Kelly is cutting up her sound wall. That is awesome, Kelly. I know it's a lot of work, but we're going to talk about how now you have it done and you're keeping it forever, right? Okay, so let's talk about setting up your sound wall. So I'm going to talk about the sound wall that I created that is my resource. But of course, any sound wall that you have, if you purchase one, if your school purchased you one, if your curriculum comes with sound spelling cards, that would be like these, like the picture card, and then at the bottom they would have like the graphemes right here. So if you already have one, that's what I'm talking about. So whatever sound wall package that you have. So what I wanted to just say is, one of the questions I get often a lot is, I don't have space for a sound wall, or how big is a sound wall? Because it is big, and if you look at pictures, you might be able to tell it's really big. When I printed these pictures out and I created a sound wall, these are like 5 by 8, maybe, I think. No, 5 by 7, I guess, because there's 2 to a sheet. When I created this one and I put the other items with it on the wall, it was 8 foot by 4 foot. So that's a big bulletin board. So my suggestions for you are maybe to print a few pages. If you're, again, if you're using like a downloadable sound wall, either this one or one that you bought from somebody else, print a few pages, kind of start measuring a little bit before you print everything, and then hang it up. Another thing is, teachers are saying, I don't have that space. I don't even have that much space. So behind me, you can see I have a portable sound wall. I just went to Target and I bought one of those poster boards that they're like tri-fold boards that you would use at like the science fair. And I printed my cards, these cards, like 2 to a page. So this is actually, there's 2 on 1 sheet of paper, but when I printed it 2 to a page, it printed out like this. So this was 1 page and then this was 1 page. And so when I did that, then these cards are much smaller and much, you could fit it all here. And so I created a vowel valley, which is, we're going to put all of our vowels on 1 sound wall. And then I created a consonant sound wall as well. And so you can do that because now what's great about having a portable sound wall is that you can move it around to your classroom as you're teaching. So in my classroom, and I know things are maybe a little bit different this year because of the restrictions for COVID, but my kids, I did all my direct instruction. If you're kindergarten, first grade, even second grade a little bit, I really, really think that direct instruction with your friends close by you in their carpet space is best, because you can really monitor what your kids are doing. You can give them feedback more quickly. There's less distractions for them to be sitting at their desk. I just like all my friends gathered around me, right? And so I would say that I could bring my portable sound wall up to the front and we could talk about it, because again, our sound wall is not just something hanging on the wall. It's not a bulletin board hanging on the wall. We're interacting with our sound wall all the time. So you could bring it to your front area, or if you have like a kidney area in the back of the room where you do small groups, you could bring it back there also. So that's kind of what's really nice about making this like trifold. It's, you can bring it wherever you want. You bring it home, you do whatever you want with it. But another thing that's amazing when you get a downloadable resource is that you can print it out several times. And that's actually something that I used to like to do before I had like PDFs and I could print things out. I would take my sound spelling cards from Open Court and I would scan them and I would print them. So I had more than one copy because I wanted to use them when my friends were all seated in front of me and they were on the wall. I could use them. So you could print them out and you could have them with you so that, you didn't have to go take this off the wall. You could use it and talk about it and model it and like have a friend use it and hold it and all of that stuff. So that's what's really great. You can print out as many copies as you want. And then one last thing, this is like a side note, but I'm working on a blog post right now, but you can make these little cards you can print. Again, this is like printing 2 to a page. You can make like a memory game or a Go Fish game, anything you want. By printing them a little bit smaller, you could put them on a ring and have the kids flip through them. You could use them as like blending cards. So if you had all the cards and the kids pulled it in the pocket chart to blend words together. So that's amazing. But you're gonna set up your sound wall. It's in a very specific way. Our vowel valley is in a V. If you don't know why, it's because it's mimicking the way our mouth moves when you say the sounds. So if you start at the top of the valley, you can see your mouth is closed and it's opening. When you get to the ah sound, your mouth is the most open. So it's mimicking your chin, and that's why your vowel valley is that way. And then we have our diphthongs over here and our controlled vowels over here. And so it's organized in that way. And then our consonant sound wall is organized. And if you have my resource or if you have another resource, hopefully it shows you the diagrams. But the consonant sound wall is organized by like the phoneme type, like what is happening in your mouth. Sorry, it's kind of weird to hold it. What's happening in your mouth, like the groups, what's happening. And they're set up so that you have the unvoiced and the voiced pair. And that just means that your vocal cords are vibrating, what's happening there. So it's very specific how it's set up. And that's because we want to teach our students like what's happening in your mouth. That's where you kind of can go to look for that sound and to know. So that's how we're going to set that up. And then what I'm going to say, this to me is like really important, is we don't want to put everything up on the sound wall at the beginning of the year. We don't want to put, here's for an example. So this is the consonant F card, and it has the articulation mouth here. And then I also have included like keyword cards that show each of these graphemes in context. But can you imagine if you went in and you saw, like you're 6 years old and you walk into your classroom and you just see like all of that. So, for example, the E has like 7 ways to spell long E, like double E, E-A, E blank E, regular E, E-Y. So you don't want to have all of the cards already posted up here. You're going to post them as you teach them. You're not just going to post everything. In fact, if you look at my sound wall here, hopefully you can see pretty good, but this is probably what I would post at the beginning of first grade, because all I'm showing on here is the short vowels. And you can see I have the ah with the cat, because I would review at the very, very first few days of school, like make sure my students all know like their basic consonants and their short vowels. I'm going to look back at the scope and sequence of the grade before me, and I'm only going to show the things that the students have already learned. And then the first few days, I'm also going to go ahead and just quickly review that, especially if students are new to a sound wall this year, which I know many of our students are because they are just becoming very popular. And then you can also see that here I have like a Post-it over the EA, like in bread. So we're going to cover the graphemes that we're not exposing our students to, or they haven't been exposed to, and that's why I keep showing it like this. And I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. We're just going to go ahead and post everything, and then we're going to lock up the graphemes that we have not taught yet. Okay, so I just did a lot of talking. So I'm going to give away some prizes today. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to jump in the comments, and I want you to tell me what grade you teach, and are you using a sound wall yet? Jump in, because today I'm going to give some prizes. And the first prize I want to give is this cup. It says Teach with Bliss, and I'm going to mail it to your house. So please jump in the comments so I'm not the only one talking here. Okay, let's see. We have some people jumping in the comments. And I'm just going to have to pick a random friend because, Okay. All right, let's see. I saw Angela's name. Angela Woodland Johnson, 2nd grade. I'm working on organizing things now. So Angela, when we are done here, I want you to email me, Christina@mrswintersbliss.com. And I want you to tell me I have won your tumbler, and I will email it out to you. Send me your home address so I can send it to you, or wherever you want me to mail it to you. Okay. So we are covering what we haven't taught. So here's an example. So this is the fish for the letter F, right? The fish sound card. And we have 3 sets of graphemes here, because the most frequently, the way that we've got them ordered here, so F is the most frequently way to spell or represent the F sound. Okay, the second most frequent way is the PH, like in phone. And then this red box is going to indicate, and you're going to teach this to your friends, that this is a short vowel, and then the double F. So like the word off or puff. So this right here is these two are very close actually, but this would be the least frequent way. And so as you teach it, you're only going to, focus on one. Remember I said that long E has like 7. You're not going to say, friends, today we're going to learn about long E. And you're going to say, these are all these ways you can spell long E. Now, if you're a 2nd grade teacher and you know the 1st grade curriculum has already covered that, you can review it and then add on to it, of course. But we're not going to overwhelm our students, because we are teaching for mastery. You're not teaching to expose students, and that's what a lot of what we need to be really intentional about now is really explicit, direct instruction. So we have to explicitly say what we want our students to learn. In a systematic, we have we're layering, so we're not just throwing everything out at them. We're going in a special order, right? Okay, so we have our our cards covered, the ones that we have not taught yet or they haven't learned in the previous grade. And so it would look like this. Now, you can see I have this little lock right here. And this is where I said I'm growing and I'm learning. So when I first put out these locks, I started seeing all these great ideas and talking to other people who I do admire. And they were talking about locking. And I kind of hesitated and thought, oh, I don't know if I want to put that big lock on there because it feels overwhelming for a student to have everything locked up. But oh my goodness, can we get some student engagement? Can we get some buy-in because we're locking our sounds? Like, how exciting. That's exactly how I teach. I build all that student engagement. And so I like first put out like these kind of like locks, these bigger locks. And I had to really rethink that and change my position after talking to some teacher friends who I know have studied and who I trust. And so I revised. So if you already own this and you haven't downloaded maybe in the last week, I would encourage you to download because now we still have a lock. It's still like building the anticipation, the student engagement, but we're not, visually overwhelming our students because if you think about it, if all of these cards just have all of these locks, our students really aren't looking. They don't know really where to look, or they're visually, it's too much stimulation. There's too much stimuli. That's probably the right word. So I'm going to encourage you maybe to think about that. In my sound wall, I also have the white one with the lock, and then I also have this just plain yellow paper that could go over it as well. And if you don't want to use a lock, you can use these little yellow Post-its. That's easy. You just stick them on there, right? So that is exactly how we're going to set it up. Can I get, can you pop in the comments and just tell me, okay, we're not going to put everything up. We don't want to overwhelm our kids. We are going to make sure that we're, keeping it visually, like not overwhelming, but it's a tool that's going to help them, not hinder them. Okay, so that's how we're going to set it up. Second thing, and I've kind of already hinted at this, but when teachers are emailing me and they're saying, I don't know what to teach. Like, this is a lot. I see all of this and I see all of this. And do I start by teaching, the stops first or the nasals first, the glides or the vowel valley? Where do I go? Okay, so first of all, here's what I want to say. Our sound wall is going to complement our foundational skills program. That's our phonemic awareness and our word study, like phonics skills. So whatever like program that you have that you're going to use for like teaching phonics, your sound wall is just going to be a tool to kind of help you with that. Think of it in the way that we teach math, right? So when we're teaching like adding, or we're teaching about numbers and number sense, we might use our tens and our ones. And that's our tool to kind of help students to move into that proficiency with number sense. Right? So our sound wall is not like another thing we're going to add. It is like something, again, I already said, is we're going to make sure that we're using it, because if we just have it up on the wall and we're not interacting to it, we're not working with it with our students, then they're not going to pay attention to it. They're not going to use it. So we have to, show them and talk about the parts and interact with it and model how we use it in our, when we're writing, we're modeling how we're using it. So I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But going back to the question of what do you teach? So whatever word study program that you have, if you're a first grade teacher like me, I'm going to go to the kindergarten teacher. I'm going to see what do they already cover. I'm going to look at my program, my scope and sequence, and I'm going to know here's where I go, here's where I start. I have put together a sound wall teacher resource, because teachers, again, I told you, were emailing me and begging me, can you please help me? I don't know what to do. My administration told me I have to get a sound wall, which I'm like, come on, they told you have to get one? Like, so sad for us teachers. Like, give us the tools that we need. But the teachers in my Facebook group were like, please, can you put something together? So it worked for 6 weeks. And I researched, again, I did a lot of work, and I came up with a teacher resource, the Soundwall Teacher Guide, and it has explicit lessons and routines and everything you need to know about using your Soundwall. And I'm going to go ahead and model one of the routines in here so you can see what it's going to look like. But in this guide, there's 4 parts. So the 4 parts are in here, like what is a Soundwall, and then getting started with your Soundwall. And the 3rd part would be the Soundwall lessons. And then the last part is routines to keep practicing and working with your Soundwall. So in the getting started section, I have, again, I'll show you my book because I really love this book. Wiley Blevins, he wrote this book, A Fresh Look at Phonics, and he also wrote this book, Phonics A to Z. He writes in a way that is very digestible, and you can see all my little tabs. Like, I keep going back to it, highlighting, circling things. But one of the things I love about this book is that he has done a lot of research, and he's come up with a very good scope and sequence. So I've compared it to other scope and sequences. If you're in the camp of I teach letter of the week, I'm going to ask you to maybe do a little more research, because I don't think that is best practice. We want to give our kindergarten friends, I'm just mumbling, but we want to give our kindergarten friends letters and sounds so they can start blending and making words. And so his theory is, and many others, is that if we give them some consonants, and I'm looking for the scope and sequence here, if we give them consonants and a vowel right off the bat, like M, short A, S, T, P, and N, think of all the words that they can start blending to make words. And that is going to be like motivating for them. They're going to see the connection. They're starting to read, they're blending, they're writing, all of that. So if you don't have a scope and sequence, there's a explicit scope and sequence for kindergarten, and then 1st grade, and then 2nd grade in this teacher binder. So that's in that part. Also in the teacher binder, it shows you suggestion. Of course, you're going to go back and look at what do your kids already do. You can do an inventory at the beginning of the year, but examples of what your Soundwall might look like at the beginning of the year, like what's going to be locked up. Just because, again, teachers kept asking me, how do I do? What do I set up? Do I put everything up? How do I do this? So I wanted to be as detailed as I could be. This is only part of the binder. It's just a little bit, but after that, then there's all the lessons for using your Soundwall, and let's get started on that. So, okay, so we've talked about how to set it up. We talked about using your scope and sequence, and now we're going to talk about like what you're going to do with your students to use your Soundwall. So, okay. I'm trying to talk fast because I don't want to keep you here all night. But if you think you might have to leave, you can always share this onto your personal page, and then it won't get lost. But this video will stay here forever, so you can watch it. Okay, so you have it set up. And now what you're going to do is you're going to gather your friends around. Friends, I am so glad you're here today. I'm so excited because today we're going to unlock another sound. Joey, I need the key, Joey. Can you go get the key for me, Joey? You know where it is. It's on the corner of my desk. We're going to need that key. What do you think? The kids are going to be glued on you, right? They are going to be sucked in. Nobody's talking. They're all watching you. And you're going to hold up your sound spelling card, or you're going to point to it if it's on your wall. And you're going to show them. I want you to take notice right now. We don't see any letters because our friends come to us with speech skills, phonemic awareness skills. If you know about how our friends are learning their phonemic awareness skills before they can start attending to print. So we're not showing them letters, not talking about the letters. We're helping them connect their knowledge of the speech or sound and then moving into print. So that's what we call speech to print. This is another really good book called Speech to Print. She is like one of the experts, Louisa Moats. This is not an easy reading book, but it is really informational and really helpful. Another good one. Okay. I'm not getting paid for any of this, so just so you know. Okay. Friends. Okay, so Joey has the key now. So we're going to be like, okay, friends. So we're going to learn about what is on this picture. And my friends are all going to shout out, fish, fish. Okay, friends, if we say fish, my turn. Fish. What do you hear? Just make the sound you hear at the beginning of fish. Everybody say it with me. Fish. Again, we're just making the speech sounds, right? Okay. So now, I want you to look at my mouth when I make the sound. Ready? And this is where we're using our picture cards. We can use this card. We can talk about the gestures, what's happening in our mouth. That power sound wall is organized. So we talk about when we make the F sound, that our teeth are coming over our lip, our bottom lip. What's happening with our mouth, with the air, with our lips, with our tongue, with our teeth. So we're going to explicitly teach them how that's happening, what's happening. We can name that and say, when you're ready to name where this sound goes on the sound wall, when you get to that point, you're going to say, this goes on the sound wall. It's part of the fricative, the groups. And fricative means you're narrowing the channel where it comes out. So the sound is there's a little friction of the sound coming out. And then you're using this picture card. You can talk about what it looks like, compare yours to that. You're saying, and now you're showing them the gesture of what's happening. And I used to do this in my classroom. I just had these old, I would save these compact mirrors, but I know a lot of teachers are buying them on Amazon. You can get a whole pack of 24 mirrors. It's like $12, $15. Maybe you put that on your teacher wish list. Because I hate that teachers have to buy stuff. But now you can pass out these little mirrors and you can say, okay, I want you to get your mirror. I want you to see what's happening in your mouth when you make the sound. You're being very explicit and you're really showing and teaching about this, right? So your friends are looking at it. You can have them turn to a partner. Of course, you've already established all the routines and procedures for working with a partner. You have a signal. When I clap my hands, you can turn back around. They know who their partner is. You can have all that established already. And you're going to say, show your partner, to ask your partner to show you, what does the sound look like? So now we have just really talked just about the sound and the gesture of the sound. And so now you can say to them, okay, let's see what letter or what grapheme is making the sound. Or actually, we don't want to say making, we say representing the sound. So we can, mine's clipped here, but yours might be stuck on there with a pin or whatever, however you have it. And we're going to unlock it. So, Joey, give me the key. Give me the key. So Joey gets the key and we unlock it and we're like, oh my gosh, there's 3 ways. If we're going to write the letters that represent that sound, there's 3 ways. Wow. Okay, we're going to name the ways that we see. Well, this is called F. Now, this is very obviously in first grade, my friends would already know this, but first kindergarten, this is called F. This is what F looks like. Okay, and then we could say, and there's another way that you can make the F sound, and that's a PH. And then there's another way. So what we're going to say, oh, friends, we're just going to focus on the first sound spelling for the F sound. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cover these right here so that we can just really focus on the F. Okay, so our friends now are really focusing on that. And so we're going to say, well, F is the way we represent at the beginning of fish. So we hear the F sound at the beginning of fish. So that, and then if there's if it comes at the end of the word, you can talk about that. You can show them, these are the keyword pictures. So again, you're going to want to cover the word, cover the print. Everyone say fox. So fox has the F sound and it's written with the F. And you're showing them and you're modeling to them, but we're not going to show them these ones right now because these ones are not part of our mini lesson that we're doing. This is another day when we're explicitly teaching these graphemes, right? So then we're going to say, I'm going to show you now how we're going to write the letter F. So I'm going to get my little whiteboard, or if you're white, however you're going to do it under the document camera. There's so much research out there that shows that when students have an opportunity to write the letters, that it's that motor skill, it just solidifies it, and they get a deeper, truer understanding. And so that's why I really believe that our students should be, as they're learning the letters, that they should be writing the letters, doing that. Now, you're probably during your sound wall time, you're probably not going to be doing your explicit teaching like I used to do, where we would talk about the top and the middle and the bottom line. We called it the ceiling, window, floor, and basement. You're not going to probably go into that deep conversation of making it, but you're going to model for your students. So you're going to say, okay, my turn. I'm going to write the letter F. Because when I say fish, I hear F. And I'm going to do it 3 times. And then now, when I point to it, I want you to say the sound with me. Right? And so your friends are going to practice that. Okay, your turn, friends. So now what I want you to do, and again, it depends. Now this whole routine, you could break it up. It might be, you're doing part of it one day and the next part the next day, and then maybe even a third part, but it's part of your, phonics teaching time. But you could say, okay, now it's your turn. I want you to write it on your palm. I want you to, the texture on the carpet in front of them is a great place. Or I want you to skywrite it. You can talk about just giving them an opportunity to practice as well, right? So you're going to, for each letter, each sound, you're going to do the same routine where you're starting with the phoneme, you're talking about the gestures, and you're talking about the keyword, you're talking about the phoneme and where it lives on the sound wall. You can have your friend, as you're finishing, you can have your friend go over and match it or point to the one that's on the wall. Talk about, oh, that's a stop sound. Oh, that one's partner is. For F, the partner is V, because V is the voiced sound. You can feel your vocal cords when you say V. You can feel them vibrating. You can have be very explicit with your students, talking about all of those things so that they're more mindful. And it's not because we're like, oh, we want them to know the sound wall. No, we want them to read and to write. And when they have all this knowledge and this tools, now they're back at their desk during writing time, or when they're decoding or segmenting or blending, or you're doing dictation activities and they're stretching the sounds. They have all of that knowledge. You might see them going like this, or you might see them writing popped and putting their hand in front of their mouth because they feel that burst of air popping out, right? So that's kind of the routine. Again, we're doing the phoneme, we're introducing the phoneme, the sound, we're talking about the gestures, we're doing the writing, and then we're gonna have some independent practice activities. Now, if you have a phonics program and you have like phonics worksheets or activities that your students can do for independent practice, those are good activities. But if you're focusing on a skill, like in first grade, we didn't really have to do that much explicit teaching about the consonants for the whole week. But when we got into long vowels, or digraphs, blends, and all that, we spent like a whole week just talking about one pattern. So for example, the A with the silent E, we would talk about that all week long. And so my quick little lessons all week, 10 to maybe 10 minutes, and then maybe quick little independent practice for them. Those lessons were all centered around that understanding, that skill, right? And so with the Soundwall Teacher Guide, it has like the explicit lessons, but it also has activities for your students to do. So one of the activities is this Soundwall dictionary for them, so that they can interact. It's kind of like an interactive, like they're building their knowledge through the year. And of course, depending on what grade level you teach, you would choose which of the tabs, I don't think kindergarten really goes that much into like variant vowels, so you probably won't put this tab there. I think first grade, we do go into our controlled vowels, but you would just look through and put together the ones, a little bit of prep at the beginning of the year. Maybe you can get a sweet volunteer to help you. But what's great is that, so if we look at like the F page, it's like the kids are building their own space of what they're learning. So they can, look at the formation of the letters. They have their own little sound gesture card here. They have their own sound card here. I would teach my students like to color or highlight over the ones that you've learned or covered. And then you can have them, after you've taught that, you can tell them to go back and to trace the key word, the picture card word. And then you can even have them write more words that go with that target grapheme that you've taught for that day. I had one more example I was looking at. So like for long A, these are all the long A sound spellings. So you would have them go ahead and record some words, or if they, if they wanted to record more words later, that this could be a place where they could do that. So that's an independent activity. And then also, again, we talked a little bit about how we want to connect the writing. And so we can use these printables that are included, where they're going to trace and print each letter, and it shows them directions. But again, you're going to be explicitly teaching that for the capital and lowercase. And these are for short vowels. So you have to be really, really intentional when you choose words, especially for vowels, because we want to choose pictures and words that are truly representative of that sound. So we don't want to choose like alligator. When you say alligator, you can feel the L, the liquid sound, is kind of overpowering the ass sound. So you have to be really, really intentional. Okay, I'm talking a lot, so let's do a giveaway. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to take a drink of water. But my giveaway, my question, I want you to jump in the comments right now, and to win this bundle, I'm just going to give it to you, send it to you. My question is, how many years have you been teaching? And what grade do you teach? You could just tell me one. How many years have you been teaching? We're going a long time here. Thank you for being here. Miss Denise, yes, it is on TPT. If you just go to my store, Christina Winter, you can see it. I'll drop the link. It's on TPT, and I have it on my website here also. You can get a little discount if you buy it on my website, because TPT, there are no coupons. But on my own website, I can give coupons. So hopefully, I just dropped the link. Hopefully, yep, there it is. So you can use a coupon, save 10, and you get 10% off. On TPT, it's just the regular price. So how many years have you been teaching? Because I'm going to show you a few more activities, and then I'm going to take your questions. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm just going to scroll up right here, and I'm just going to stop my scroller. And Heba Hansen has taught for 18 years. So I just scrolled on your name. So Heba, again, you're going to email me, Christina@mrswintersbliss.com, and I'm going to send you this bundle. So we're going to pick at least one more winner, because I love teachers. Teachers work really hard. Okay, so we talked about the dictionary that's included in this bundle. We talked about these printables. These printables, there is, because we're practicing the letters, there are just 26 of these, because we're doing the short vowels and the consonants. It's not for all of them, because that would be really kind of weird for the kids to do like AI and AY. So this will be enough. And then the other thing that I think is super awesome, if you love like interactive notebooks, I was thinking like, how can I make this so that my students can kind of build their own sound wall? And so I worked on the design part for a while, but basically I just made the sound wall. But then instead of putting the sound spelling card here, that's what you're going to pass out to your students. So you're going to have them, the folder is pre-made. And so as you teach it, you're going to give them, one little card to glue down. And I made it as easy as I could for you, because I didn't want your students to have to fumble to like find their sheet of paper and cut their letter out that they needed. So the day that you're teaching, like say you're teaching short A, you're going to just print out that one page of all the short A cards. There's like 40 of them. And then you're just going to, you can pass them out by table group or however you do it. And everybody gets a little card, and everybody just puts one little swipe of glue and glues it down. But again, you can have them, they could color in the phonemes, or they can color in the graphemes here as you teach them, similar to how I did it with the F. But that way that they're building their own little sound wall as they're going. And I think they would really, really like this. So they definitely will like that. So those are some of the independent activities just to keep your friends, really focused and engaged. You can do games. I've got a chant that I created that's also in here. Let's see if I can sing it for you. I'm going to totally embarrass myself, but the sound we know is the sound we know is fish, right? Who knows that song? Drop it in the comments. Tell me who knows what tune that is. I know I was terrible at singing, but our kids love when we sing. They're going to be at their desk. They're going to be like, during transitions, you call your friends to the carpet. You say like, boys, friends, come to the carpet. And then you start singing. The sound we know is and then they're singing along with you. They're not stopping and talking to their other friends, or, it's just like they love it. And then, later they're going to be, connecting that as they're working independently. So does anybody know the name of that song? I embarrass myself. The tune of that song. Brooke knows it. Yes, she does. Trisha, yes. Oh my goodness. Elizabeth. Oh my goodness. How am I going to choose a winner? Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm going to pick. And my finger's on Brooke's name. Brooke, again, you're going to email me and you're going to tell me that you won the bundle of the sound wall lessons because you knew it was Wheels on the Bus, even with my terrible singing. So I think I kind of went over the whole routine. Again, we're starting with the speech sounds. We're introducing the phoneme. We're really being very explicit. I hear teachers saying, oh, my kids don't know the word fricative. Oh, they don't know nasal. Yes, they do. They're going to know it. You're going to teach it to them. They can do it. They can. Kindergartners can talk about those words, and they just have to, you just have to teach them. And then this week we did the F, and then next week we do short U, and then we're going to talk about why is this on the vowel valley, and why is this one on the consonant? The consonants are different than vowels. You're going to keep building it. You're going to keep building with your students. You're going to talk about the gestures. You're going to connect it with the keyword, these little cards. And you're going to say, Joey, pick a friend now who's going to go hang the fox under the sound card that makes the sound. And then Joey's going to go over and tap, Miranda, and Miranda's going to toddle over there and hang it up there, right? And so we always have this reference. We've highlighted the part that is showing the graphing in context of a word. And so if you look at the word like sniff, it has the short vowel with the double F, right? And then we also have a picture here. We're always using some pictures for our younger learners, especially for EL students to gain more meaning and understanding. So we've done that, and then we're doing extension activities, and we're connecting the writing activities that go with, or writing the graphemes so that our friends can implement them in here. Okay, so I did a lot of talking. Yay, Brooke. Let's see. I will take some questions if you want to drop any questions in there. And then we can wrap this up. I hope we had some fun tonight because I don't have to try to talk to my husband about this kind of stuff anymore. Okay, let me scroll up and see if there's any questions. And while I'm doing that, if you have any questions, pop them in there. But again, you can always, if you're on the replay, just pop them in here and I'll come back and check. Let's see, is it in here? So Charlotte says, I posted the words together with my class. It took 3 weeks. So Charlotte's already moving on through the school year. Yay. Kindergarten, it's great. I agree. Definitely not overwhelming. I'll keep the lessons limited. What would you suggest for kindergarten? What would be best to put up? Okay, so Carolina says, what would be best to put up? So Carolina, I would go, you don't have prior learning, so you're going to walk in the door. Your students are going to walk in the door, and you're assuming, again, you're going to do some assessments at the beginning of the year, but you're assuming at the beginning of the year that they don't know anything about letters and sounds. They haven't been explicitly taught. So again, I will put the whole sound wall up. You can decide if you want to put up, all like the diphthongs and the things that aren't covered on your scope and sequence. You can decide that. But here's the thing, and this is another reason why I was there was people who wanted to lock the whole thing, lock everything here, is your students, when you're, how many times are you teaching? Let's say you're teaching and your students are writing. I don't want to say looked because that's really tricky, but looked I looked at the rainbow and they're like, look, and they're trying to figure out what the sound is in look. That's like a teachable moment. We don't want to just like make our friends like stop. Oh, sorry, we're not covering double O this year, right? We're not going to say that. So if we have it shown here, you can just like quickly, those quick teachable moments. It doesn't have to be a whole lesson if you haven't gotten to it in your scope and sequence, but you can say like, oh, the double O is in like the word cook. Everybody say cook. Feel it, cook, so those are like those teachable moments. So I really would suggest putting up the whole sound wall. Again, for kindergarten, maybe you don't want to put this part up, but you could. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And then just cover the parts that you haven't taught, which would be like everything, and then unlock everything. Denise said, yes, it's on TPT and it's on my website, Mrs. Winters Bliss, which I dropped the link. I can drop it again. Trisha, do you leave the word cards up under the grapheme, or that's too much on the wall? Yes, after you've taught it, I would definitely leave these up. So under your F, now this would be, so can't see all of these, but you're building it with your students. So you're going to first have your fox, right? And then in first grade, I don't think we really covered pH, even though it's the second most frequent. I think it was, it's a second grade, but sometimes we did. I don't. But we would put this one under it, so as we teach it, like the double consonant after a short vowel, we would build it with our students. So I think that's very appropriate. You're not putting stuff on your wall to have it there. You're building it with your students so that it's meaningful. It's not wallpaper, right? Denise, thank you for joining us. I don't think there's any more questions. One more question that I've gotten quite a bit is there are 44 phonemes and all of the cards, and then the letter K and the letter C, the cat and the kite, they both make the k sound. So some teachers are emailing me and saying, what do I do with the cat or the kite? What do I put them side by side? What do I do, right? Because if you look at my example here, you can see that it's only the k sound. I only have the kite. Upon further review or reflection or learning, I would suggest that we put the cat, it's a car, not a cat. Cat is a different thing, but I would suggest that we put the car card, because car is the way we spell the k sound 70% of the time. And you could tell your friends that. And the K is the way we represent the k sound only 14% of the time. So I would put the car up, but you don't have to put both up. You just put one up. And you can keep the extra for when you're explicitly teaching, or some teachers like to print all of these out and put them across the top of their whiteboard so they have like an ABC, A to Z line that we have like at the top, right? You can still have the ABC, A to Z line. So, okay, I think we've done a lot of chatting and I have enjoyed this time. Again, if you need anything, let me know and I'm happy to chat some more. So thank you and bye for now, friends.